What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speak. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you tune in. You check out the content. And with that being said, man, I have a question for Nuggets fans. Right? Do you think that hope is fading for the Nuggets, or do you think that, or has the window closed for the Nuggets? Will they be able to come out of the West? Now that's a discussion that was had on the Running Back podcast, right? And I got to thinking about that. Like, would the Nuggets be able to come out of the West? I think, in my opinion, I think they'll be able to. A lot of things have to go right for them, in my opinion. Number one, I think everybody has to get healthy at the same time. So you got to have Jamal Murray in there. You got to have Aaron Gordon in there to help out the Joker in order for them to be to have a chance to come out of the West, because the West is just so it's just so much competition, and it's so much better than the East. It's just, a lot of good teams in the West. So first of all, they got to get healthy, right? And this is the discussion that they were having on the Running Back podcast. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the audio from Running Back, and then I'm gonna come back and give some more of my input on what I think need to go right in order for the Nuggets to come out of the West.
That was with some oomph. Nuggets Rockets is a game we also got to see last. Describe both of them since the All-Star break. I don't know. I don't know about Houston, Boogie. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on there. Even though they've been inconsistent, though, do you look at Denver and still feel a little bit of like, you know what? Once the playoffs start, they'll be steady. I still have faith.
Absolutely. As long as they got a guy in Jokic on that squad, I don't think that's ever a question. But I think the main issue with Denver this year has just been health. It's been a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. They're still struggling, to kind of remain healthy. Also, they made that big all-season move with trading Michael Porter Jr., and they're not really getting the production or what they expected from, Cameron Johnson. I believe his name's Cameron Johnson. Yeah.
Johnson.
With that being said, I think the missing piece of MPJ was a really big hole for them, and missing that offense, missing that chemistry and that camaraderie. On paper, it seemed like a good move at the time because they got a lot of pieces back. They were able to kind of fill out their bench as well, but just that starting four spot with Cameron Johnson, it hasn't reached the potential that they thought it would. And I would also just throw health in there. One of the biggest things for a regular season is being healthy, and that's just something they haven't really been able to do this season. But
yeah, I do think they missed Michael Porter. Michael Porter had, he could shoot that spot up, and then at times, he could take it to the rim. The chemistry they had, I agree. When Michael Porter was there, I thought was good. Also, Michael Porter, in my opinion, is an underrated defender. So you had Michael Porter Jr., then you had Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray. Those three guys played tough defense. Then you had the Joker. I forgot who. Oh, Caldwell Pope was there. I think defensively, I think that Denver team, when they had all those guys there, the chemistry they had, I thought that was good. I just think now, they're not able to recreate that same chemistry with these new pieces that they have that they brought in.
Once this team gets healthy, there's no doubt in my mind they're a contender in the West, and especially with a guy and Jokic being on the floor. So it's all about health at this point for me.
Yeah, and if I look at these two teams, I'm way more concerned about Houston because they've had these bad losses where their offense gets so stagnant. It's all ISO. They don't play fast, and it's almost like they don't use their biggest skill set with his athleticism and length and get out and play. So to me, I'm more concerned about them. When you look at Denver, it's interesting because I love that move this offseason for Cam Johnson, like Boogie said. And then MPJ goes to Brooklyn and is putting up 25, 26 a game, and it was damn near an all-star, and Cam still hasn't found his rhythm for Denver. And then you look at all the injuries they've had with Christian Brown missing some time. Aaron Gordon's just now getting back in the lineup. They did find something with Peyton Watson while those guys were out. Now he's out. So they haven't been really whole this whole season. Jamal Murray, obviously, is a first-time all-star, and Jokic is doing what Jokic does. But when this team is fully healthy and complete, I do still think they're a contender and a real threat to get out of the West. And I think they are obviously the biggest challenges for those young OKC and San Antonio teams to get to the finals again. So I think they're going to be fine. I think their bench, I think, Hardaway's been a good pickup. Hardaway's almost done what I thought Cam Johnson was going to be doing for them in a way with providing shooting. They get Bruce Brown back, who was a huge piece of that championship team. So I do think the Nuggets will be just fine. And we haven't really seen them fully healthy yet.
Which is terrifying, by the way. And Lou, the 3, 4, 5, 6 situation is a hot, beautiful mess. When you look at that, do you look at Denver and think, yeah, they're probably still the top 3 here, despite whatever this looks like?
I got to take it for face value. They're a team that's trying to figure it out. That was a good win last night, but they've had their inconsistencies, like the guys just mentioned. 7 and 10 over their last 17 games. I think Cam Johnson, he hasn't quite replaced MPJ as we thought he would, but he's been decent, averaging like 11 points a game, this and that. The big thing to me is Aaron Gordon being in and out of the lineup and him trying to find a rhythm and getting back into the groove of this game. He's that third piece that's going to get them over the hill. And until he has one of those breakout games that can turning that into, a 5 to 10 game run where he's consistent and where we can see him really play at the level that he's capable of playing, I think that's when you will begin to see the Denver Nuggets team that we've grown accustomed to seeing. Until then, I think they're just going to be where they are, in a 4 or 5 spot, fighting for their lives to try to get home court advantage. But I think once, like I said, once Aaron Gordon kind of gets his feet up under him and he finds a rhythm and be that 17 to 20 points a game guy that we've gotten used to seeing him be for them, that's when I think we see a Denver Nuggets team. Last night he had 0 points, didn't have a lot of impact in that game. And they still steamroll a team. So imagine if you can get him going and he's an added layer to what you're trying to accomplish. That makes this Denver team completely different in my.
See, and Aaron Gordon, when he at the top of his game, he can do it all. He shoot the 3. He's a slasher. He goes to the, going to the rim. He's a slasher. So, and like I said, defensively, he's very good. But also, they are 3 years removed from their championship team, right? And so they're 3 years, everybody's 3 years older. They got a lot more miles on them. And you're competing in the West, you're competing with OKC, that's a younger team. Then you got the Spurs, man, and that guy, Wembanyama, that's a younger team. And those guys, it's going to be hard, Now the thing about Houston, though, I think Kevin Durant, his age, in my opinion, is starting to show with Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is, they should like probably restrict his minutes and use him, at certain times in the game, like when you need a basket, save him so you could count on Kevin Durant down the stretch. Mostly rely on those young horses. You got Şengün. You got what's the guy? Amin Thomas. You got some young guys in there that you could rely more on. And then when it comes down to clutch time or down a stretch, then you rely more, you put that into Kevin Durant's hands, right? They say that, they are playing slower, but I think in the playoffs, that if they can slow teams down and make teams a half court, slow them down and make them play half court, I think the advantage goes to Houston, when they play other teams, just because they have Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant has to be a fresh Kevin Durant. He can't be, he's just looking old and like he got a lot of miles on him. So that's what I think about Houston.
This is going to be rowdy, this Western Conference playoff situation. The last month, I know it's been difficult. I really, like, when you look at it, even with the Nuggets sitting there lower, it's just going to be rough. Like, whoever gets whoever, this is going to be a tough battle, Boogie. How hard is this part of the
Rockets
season?
Team, though.
Well, what's wrong? What is the
Rockets,
deal?
regardless, are going to have a really tough first round matchup.
I just don't
No matter
understand
what.
how you spend this whole season, you lose Fred VanVleet in the offseason, coming into the season, and how valuable that guy is to this team. And you have all this time realizing how inconsistent your team has been all year, and you still don't make a play for some sort of a veteran PG. Like, that's literally all this team is missing. They need somebody out there to control the offense, control the flow of the game. That's it. You got a guy like Chris Paul sitting at home who's the perfect guy for that role. Like, you don't need 40 minutes from him. Just a guy that can give you 20, 18. Just in those moments where the offense gets stagnant, like you lose that flow in the game. Just somebody to set up everybody on the floor. That's all that's really needed for this offense. And, you know, they still don't make a move. So it's kind of mind-blowing to me that they would, you know, allow this season to kind of go to waste. You invest in Kevin Durant at the age that he's at. And it almost seems like you're kind of wasting a year of Kevin Durant's years that are left. So
yeah, I don't know how much gas though do Chris Paul have in the tank? Like, will he be able to help out? I don't know. And then I don't know how Chris Paul, like those guys on the team, if they even discuss it, if those guys would want to bring Chris Paul in. So it's more to it than just throwing a body out there, man. You know, you gotta the guy gotta fit and bring the chemistry. You know, I don't know if those guys, you know, if Houston feel like he would mesh with what they have already. So, but yeah, man, I think if this Denver team is healthy, they're gonna be hell to deal with in the playoffs. So I'm looking forward to the playoffs though, and that's my take on it. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.